everybody, my name is Ed. I hope everybody had a happy Christmas and everything. Let's see, it's been a couple of weeks since I've done a haul video, so I'll show you some of the things I bought last week, and then some of the stuff I bought today, and I got a couple other things I want to show you. So let's just jump into it. Today's beer again is Steel Reserve. Cheers. Okay, so I got Gomorrah #1 is written by Nicole Perlman and the artist Marco Cicchetto. I kind of skimmed through it. I didn't give it a good read. It looks like it's okay. I know this comic was like delayed for months and months because Nicole Perlman has a day job as a Hollywood screenwriter, and she wrote the original draft for the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Although I understand James Gunn rewrote major chunks of it, so practically the whole thing. But okay. Sam Wilson, Captain America #16, written by Nick Spencer, and the art is by Angel Onzuda with Simon Kodransky. Okay, and it's basically a Misty Knight focused comic. And it was okay. Basically, you get a little bit about her backstory, where she is now in the Marvel Universe. And basically, she has to track down some guy that is making lewd videos with LMDs or robots that are designed to look like various female supervillains or something like that, and he's distributing them over the internet and stuff. But it's a pretty decent issue. You get like I said, you get a little bit about Misty's backstory. You get a look inside her mind and her thought process, and it's just a tight little story, a one and done here. So I did enjoy this. I did read Invincible Iron Girl #2. Brian Michael Bendis is the writer. Art is Stefano Caselli. Decent issue. Really like the art. Check it out. There's the Hancock building. Yeah. It's that away from where I live. Anyway, really enjoy the art. This is going to be one of those things, of course, that reads better in trade. It's a little bit, we get a little bit of background. There's a lot of flashbacks to when Riri, that's not a flashback, to where Riri was a kid, and how her best friend and her stepdad were killed in in a drive-by or some gang violence or whatever. And those are the flashbacks, and in the present day we get to see her being trained by the Tony Stark AI to learn more about how to be a superhero and stuff like that. So, not a bad issue. Captain Marvel #0, written by Margaret Stoll, the artist by Emilio Lazos and Ramon Rosanas. Again, kind of redefining where the character is now in the Marvel Universe. She's basically having it opens with her having a therapy session, trying to reconcile some of the things that have happened recently in Civil War II. I'm not reading that event. I really don't care about Civil War II or any of that stuff. But yeah, kind of resetting the status quo. She's still the commander of the Alpha Flight space satellite or whatever. And again, we get some background. There's a little bit about her origin, a little bit about her family growing up, and like I said, just basically redefining the status quo for the next series that's supposed to be coming up. So yeah. And Motor Girl #2 by Terry Moore. Oh, did I? Oh, never mind. Motor Girl #2 by Terry Moore. I guess what's happening is this woman here is a former Marine. She's kind of, it's set up where it seems that she's basically suffering from, you know, post-traumatic stress syndrome, and the gorilla here is basically just a figment of her imagination. But at the same time, there are these aliens here, and we're not too sure if the aliens are real or if they're, you know, more delusions. There's this thing where the suit and tie guys are trying to buy up the junkyard or whatever for whatever reason we don't know yet. But it's kind of fun, kind of delightful. So, all right. That's pretty much for it for the comics that I've actually read all the way through. I also got Cyborg #7. I think I'm going to finish off this arc. It'll probably go for a couple more issues. And then after that, I'll probably cut it loose. Not a bad comic, but it's so, it just doesn't grab me. You know, I want to like the comic, but it just comes across as so bland. Uh, Divinity #3, the Stalin Verse. I think what this is kind of a alternative reality take on on the, you know, on the Divinity storyline. I guess there was a storyline. Last storyline had to do with one character, the antagonist, having the same sort of cosmic powers that the protagonist has, and she kind of did some stuff and warped reality and seemed like she had changed time or whatever, where the Soviet Union was basically running the planet. So I guess that's what this story is. I haven't, like I said, I haven't given it a careful read, but it appears to be an alternative history or alternative present, where, like I said, the Soviet Union is basically running everything. The art is by Trevor Hersine, and the writing is Matt Kent. So I'm looking forward to reading this. So yeah, Blue Beetle #4, Keith Giffen, and the art is by. Look, damn it! I should have had all this ready. Oh, it doesn't even give the. Oh, that's weird. Where are the credits at? Oh, here we go. The art is by, I'm sorry, stories Keith Geffen and Scott Collins, and the art is by Scott Collins. So, I've been mostly enjoying it. I've been liking the interactions between Jamie Reyes and his family, between him and his high school friends, stuff with Dead Cord I like, and the whole thing with the villains who are kind of played in a tongue-in-cheek way, but at the same time, they've got their own kind of seriousness and pathos to them as well. So, so yeah, and oh, and also there's this whole thing where he keeps having dreams of Dr. Fate, warning him about the Scarab. So, I'm guessing maybe they're going to build up to a team up or something. I don't know, but yeah, okay. Uh, Six Pack and Dog Welder #5 by Garth Ennis and whatchamacallit, uh, Russ Braun. So just very fun, very irrelevant, and it just cracks me up. Yeah, that's that. Wonder Woman #13. This is one of the present day stories. It's Greg Rucka. And the artist, which the art here is Renato, I can't say his name, Gudez, possibly? If you know how to say this, let me know. But, I guess this is the last part of this particular story, and then #14 will be the last part of the year one storyline. So, all right. Frostbite, #4 of 6. It doesn't say on the cover, but I think it's a 6-issue miniseries. Enjoying it so far. It's not really blowing my mind or anything. The writing is by Joshua Williamson and the artist by Jason Sean Alexander. Basically, there's been some sort of disaster. The world has been frozen over, and the main character is trying to save the this character here, who's the daughter of this famous scientist. And of course, she doesn't. Well, I probably shouldn't give that away, but it's basically, I don't know, Mad Max on ice or something like that. You know, they basically have to outrun various people who are trying to catch them. People who have bounties on their heads and things like that, and bad guys and whatnot. So yeah, it's an enjoyable comic for what it is. Like I said, it doesn't blow me away, but it's fun for what it is. I also have Black Widow 9, Chris Samney, Mark Waid. I still believe it's one of the better comics that Marvel's putting out these days. Not okay. I think it's supposed to end around issue 12. I'm not sure if it's ending at issue 12 or if they're going to get a new creative team. Oh, I'm sure they're probably going to get a new creative team. I'm not sure if it's going to start over or is it going to pick up the numbering from where it left off. We'll see. Spider-Woman 14, Dennis Hopeless, and the artist by Veronica Fish. Things are really starting to get serious. Looks like something bad has happened to Porcupine. Other villains are stepping up. And yeah, things just look really scary. And yeah. Again, another comic book I like a lot. And I actually like the whole fact that they're taking the whole single motherhood thing seriously. Um, yeah. I guess I don't have anything deep to say about that. I just like that they have another aspect on superheroine and female characters and stuff like that. Everything is an alternative to having characters that are all spunky young teenage go-getters, girl next door type characters, versus having other characters who are like cut their heads off, badass assassins. Here's a character there's somewhere that has that other, I guess, another view of femininity, for lack of a better word. But yeah, I dig it. Uh, Hulk #1. This is Jennifer Walters, who's She-Hulk. I guess they're going in a different direction with the comic now. So now I guess Jennifer Walters is going to be gray, and it's going to be more of that kind of savage, I can't control the monster within approach. I don't know how I feel about that necessarily. I like the kind of tongue-in-cheek the way they've been portraying the character for the last whatever 20 or 30 years, but we'll see. I'll give it at least 2 or 3 issues before I decide how I feel about this. And I also have Black Panther #9. This is basically a setup for the um, final act, if you were. I guess it's going to end around issue 11, and then issue 12 will be kind of like the epilogue. Basically, it looks like various things are coming to a head. There's like 4 or 5 different storylines going on in this comic at once. There's this whole Revolution Wakanda thing going on. There's this whole thing about the Rogue Doras going around killing sex traffickers. There's this whole thing where Shuri, who is the Black Panther's sister, had died, and now she's come back to life. So yeah, really great art by Brian Stelfreeze, and yeah, I've got problems with the pacing with the comic, and I really don't think that Tanisha Coates really understands the personality of the main character. But I am interested in seeing how the story ends. So after that, I'll decide if I want to keep going with it or not. But there you go. Ah. Oh, got some trades in the mail. I have I got Voodoo, Dancing in the Dark by Alan Moore and Al Rio. This is back from the maybe mid 90s when Alan Moore was actually, or I'll say early mid 90s, when Alan Moore was actually doing work for Wildstorm. So Voodoo was a character from, ooh, look at that glare. How's this? Is this a little bit better? Voodoo was a character from Wildcats. And so this was like a four-part mini series. And yeah, that's what this is. I hadn't read it, don't know too much about it other than I'm aware that it existed. Well, I'm looking forward to reading this. All right. Day Tripper. I actually have more than half of this in single issues. And for a while I was like, oh well, since I have most of it in singles anyway, I'll just go ahead and get all the singles. But for whatever reason, I decided, screw it, I'll just bite the bullet and get the collection. And these are these kind of I don't know if I should do a review of this or not, but these after I finish reading the stuff that I haven't read. But they're just this really bittersweet slice of life stories. Um, they all kind of end on this weird hook. I don't want to give that hook away yet, but yeah, I would highly recommend this to anybody that's looking for something different than superheroes and fantastical things like that. It kind of is in a way. You kind of get that sort of magical realism. That type of thing where something otherworldly may be happening, but it's not the point of the story. The point of the story is, the heartfelt emotions and the poignancy and all that sort of thing. So yeah, Southern Bastards, Volume One. I had the first issue in single, and it was interesting enough. And I was like, well, okay, I'll just have to trade weight it just because, you know, you just can't buy everything these days. Comics are just so expensive nowadays. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to jumping into this. And I also got Flex Mintaldo, King of the Impossible. So yeah, I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but this comic book was like out of print for a while. It was a mini series from the early 90s. And what it is Flex Mental is kind of a parody of Charles Atlas. I'm looking to decide if I should like go grab an old comic book, but I'm not too sure which comic books I have that are not put away. But for people who don't know, back I'll say from the 50s up until maybe the early 80s, there were always these ads in any random comic book you pick up. These Charles Atlas comics, and he was a strong man. And if you send away for his book, he would teach you how to be buff or whatever. And during when Grant Morrison was writing the Doom Patrol in the 90s, he introduced this character, Flex Mentallo. It was kind of, like I said, it was kind of a spoof. At least his origin was kind of a spoof of those old ads. I guess what happened was that Charles Atlas' estate found out about it and threatened a lawsuit against DC. I think DC won on appeal saying, or I don't think it was appeal. I don't even think it went to appeal. I'm not even sure if it uh, got seriously in court. I know they filed a suit or something like that, and I know DC won because we're not making money off of Charles Atlas. It's a satire, and and we're taking into this kind of bizarre superhero whatever. Nobody's going to confuse Flex Mentallo with the actual Charles Atlas or whatever. So I think they won their case, but like I said, the comic was out of print for a while, and I think last year they brought it back in print. So yeah, so this should be fun to read as well. So okay, um, I'm looking for something else to come in the mail in the next couple of days. If I get that thing, I'll try to get a kind of in-depth review video put up by next week sometime. If not, maybe I'll find something else to do a review of. But anyway, that's it. I got to thank you very much for listening. Everybody have a great day.